I'm Erick Baker. This is Tennessee Uncharted.
I'm Erick Baker, and I've lived in Tennessee my entire life. However, for the last decade, touring the world, I've only seen it passing by from a windshield. But finally, Tennessee is calling me back where I belong.
There's a place you've never been. It's right where you want to be.
I want to rediscover how great my home state is, and I want you to come with me.
Uncharted.
Today we're flying off to Seven Islands State Birding Park in Kodak, Tennessee, to attend the dedication of Tennessee's first state birding park. On this episode, I'm learning more on what passionate Tennesseans are doing to preserve, protect, and restore many of our bird populations across the state. Now, if you're like me, you may not know that much about birding, but as many as 1 in 5 Americans identify themselves as birders, contributing as much as $36 billion annually to the U.S. economy. In fact, birding is now recognized as one of the fastest growing outdoor activities. Many times I begged the sun to slow down so I could sleep a little longer, shushing the songbirds just outside my window for scheduling their choir practice so early. But each morning, despite my pleas for silence, there's a symphony at sunrise, tuning up to greet the new day with a chipper chirp. I hate to admit it, but these early morning serenades are something I've held against birds for most of my life.
But it got the best of me.
But this episode has got me thinking, could it be that maybe the birds outside my window are singing so loud because I'm not really listening? Maybe it's not a greeting at all, but actually an alarm. Because as the world continues to develop and pave across much of our natural lands, it's robbing our birds and other wildlife of their homes. And each year, their song is growing softer and harder to hear. This issue, whether you know it or not, has critical impact on us all, and it reaches far beyond the loss of just a few pretty birds. I'm up in the rafters in an old tobacco barn at Seven Islands State Birding Park with Justine Kuchera, who is the newest Tennessee State Park manager, correct?
Yep.
Congratulations first.
Thank you very much.
So Seven Islands is the 56th state park. Why Seven Islands?
Well, the property is really special in that we do something out here to preserve a really imperiled habitat type, grasslands. In this country, grasslands have been on serious decline in recent history because of development, urban sprawl, and farming. So also the species that go along with those habitat types, with the grassland habitat, have been in decline. Species such as the northern bobwhite. We've done a huge restoration in the past 10 years out at Seven Islands to restore native warm season grasses to the area. These are clump grasses, and so they grow, instead of like our long grasses that grow dense and low, these grow in clumps and they grow up and over, and they provide lots of habitat for ground nesting birds and also the other critters that like to call that kind of area home. The bobwhite is what we call an umbrella species. And so if you provide good habitat for northern bobwhite, you're also providing habitat for all plethora of other critters and birds that like the same kind of stuff, the same kind of cover and food. We've planted a selection of 24 native wildflowers that are going to benefit native pollinators. You've heard of colony collapse disorder with the bees. And this also is going to draw a lot of moths, butterflies, hummingbirds. So it'll be wonderful to come out here and enjoy them, but also hopefully bolster the populations of some of these native plants and native birds and bees.
If you want to find out more about declining grassland birds and what you can do to help, go to tnuncharted.com.
Accessible site for recreation and enjoyment. Now, therefore,
Most people like gold or silver. I prefer the smooth touch of snakeskin. While attending this dedication today was a great introduction to birding, I don't feel like I'm quite ready to wing it just yet. After talking with these experts, I realized just how big of a deal birding really is. Not only does it provide another means of getting out and enjoying the outdoors, it also sounds like big business. So I reached out to my friends at the Wings of America show at Dollywood to get a closer look at some of birding's big boys, the birds of prey. Surprisingly though, as iconic and revered as these noble beasts are, they've only just recently escaped the impending doom of extinction.
The American Eagle Foundation is a nonprofit organization that was established nearly 30 years ago, to restore and protect eagles across the country. Here at Dollywood, at our facility, we do three things basically. We educate the public, we rehabilitate injured eagles and birds of prey, try to put them back into the wild. We also have a captive breeding program where we hatch baby eagles from disabled parents, and then we release them into the wild to help repopulate eagles in the east part of Tennessee.
All right, we are backstage at the Wings of America show, and I'm here with Beth. Beth, tell me what we're going to be doing today.
Well, we are going to be cleaning some of our bird rooms.
Okay.
The birds, they stay in their rooms, and it's kind of where they live. So they poop and they eat and they sleep and they...
I have a room similar to
Oh,
that.
yeah. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be cleaning the rooms.
Okay.
So what's in here is...
Yeah, what is that?
What is that? Did you see that? Is it poop? Is it
It
food?
looks
What do you
like
think?
poop to me.
Well, here,
I've
you can
seen
pick it
seen a fair share of poop in my life.
Are you
so,
okay with picking it up with your bare hands? It's okay. If not, I can pick it up for you. That is what is called a pellet. So our birds are eating, say, a whole quail. So they're eating all the feathers and the bones and the guts and the brains. And their body can't process all of that. So that's what this is. So it's really interesting that you can see what the bird
now,
has
does this
eaten.
come out of the...
Mouth. So
Okay.
it just comes right out of the mouth. They have like a crop right here, so their food kind of gets worked up and ground up and it goes into their system, and then they cough it up about 24 hours after they've eaten it.
And it's called a cast.
A cast or a pellet. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yep, so I'm gonna get out of this room. So once again, you're just gonna kind of spray the poop. So after you
Am I going to get this? Do I need to get in and
Yep,
scrub
you're gonna
it?
want to get in and scrub that now. Not all of it's gonna come off.
Okay.
So just kind of give it your best
Best shot?
elbow grease you can. Give it your best college try.
Hey-oh.
Yeah! And now that room is nice and clean. And now since that room is nice and clean, we can actually put this bird back in.
Okay.
So this is our American bald eagle, America. And America is a 26-year-old male. And so we weigh the birds every day. By weighing them once a day, we're able to get a good healthy weight, base weight on the birds. And then we can know if they're sick, hurt, or injured. Birds really hide that. So the minute they're starting to really show a sickness or a weakness or an injury, it could almost be too late. So what we have to do every day is we weigh them, and then we write down their weight, and then we write down what food they're getting for the day. If it's mouse, baby rat, fish, quail, something like that, and then we'll start cutting it up.
I think that's the... This is truly uncharted territory for me, Mike. All right?
That's 61 grams, so we got to cut her 10 more grams. Cut her that head off right there.
Okay.
Right there. Come on up here, sir. Let's give this fella a big round of applause. All right, Cujo, come and meet Eric. He does a great job and goes right back. Everybody give Eric a big round of applause.
Right.
Eric,
Awesome.
you did great. Now hold on, I got something
okay.
for you. Hold on. You are now vulture bait.
All right.
You have a blessed day at Dollywood. Let's hear it for
Thank
Eric
you, man.
one more time.
Thank you,
buddy.
Mike. Thank you.
We are in front of our Eagle Mountain Sanctuary. This is where we house all of our disabled eagles that are not trained.
Okay.
So in this, there's different compartments here. In the center section here, we have 10 bald eagles. And we
wow.
get these eagles from different zoos across the country that can't take care of them anymore, and they transfer them to us. And this section here often changes because we also donate these eagles to other zoos or other raptor centers who may need a bird for education.
Okay.
So what we're going to do today is these eagles, they need to be fed.
Yes.
And you're going to feed them.
All right. What do we have here?
Well, we have a great large bucket of fresh trout and fresh quail that we're going to feed our eagles today.
Man.
So they eat good. They eat good.
do. So how often do you feed?
We feed the eagles once a day.
Okay.
In the wild, they're typically only going to go out hunting once a day.
Okay.
So we try to mimic that.
All right. So just
All right,
tell
so
me
you're
what
gonna
to do here.
Yeah, if you want to do is we're going to walk along here. And if you see these platforms, just drop a piece or two on each platform.
Okay.
Okay?
Here, eagle, eagle, eagle.
And this is the best spot. You can get a really good look at those eagles.
Wow. Come and get it. I just fed a bald eagle, actually a bunch of bald eagles. That is awesome. While we're here at Dollywood, it seems like a shame not to go and try out some of the other attractions they've got around here. And from what I hear, there may be a bird of another feather nearby. Feel what it feels like to be an eagle. Muscle in my neck. That's good. I think there's something on this one. While Dollywood gave the crew and I a chance to unwind and have some fun, it surprisingly helped bring out the bird in me as well. I'm Eric Baker, and this is Tennessee Uncharted. I may have only traveled a few miles to meet up with my next guest here at the Wonder of Hummingbirds Festival at IAMS Nature Center, but I can't say the same for them. Regularly migrating from northern Panama to the U.S. each spring, ruby-throated hummingbirds typically cross the Gulf of Mexico in a single 18 to 22-hour trip.
Well, I haven't been here since the beginning. I look like it, but I haven't been here quite that long. But Mr. and Mrs. Imes lived on this property from 1910 until the mid-50s.
Okay.
Mr. Imes passed away in mid-50s and Mrs. Imes in the mid-60s. And in her last few years, the family was trying then to make it a park, even when they lived here. The trolley car ran out here and people picnicked on the grounds. Mr. Iams was the birding expert in the area and everybody came to him with birding questions. Mrs. Iams was a garden. She had her own greenhouses and ran her own business off the property.
Okay.
And that's why our garden and greenhouse is named after her, and that's what we try to emulate the things that they did. Birding is like the #1 activity that people do, passive sort of activity that is out there, hobbies. And hummingbirds people are fascinated by them because they're little, you don't see them, their nests are minuscule, their eggs are even smaller. This festival's in its 4th year, I think, and it just every year gets a little bit bigger. We get more people, more vendors. People just seem to really be interested in it.
The song of the hummingbird is one of narrow escapes. From backyard predators and low food supplies to deadly clean window panes and passing car windshields, the hummingbird is born to soar great lengths. But along with those great lengths come many great challenges to overcome.
So first thing I'm going to do is check, make sure he's not banded already, and he's not. And I just pull up the little foot, apply the band, and now we got a banded bird. Then I'll start my processing, and I'll measure the wing first. Tail is 25. Okay, I'll measure the beak. So this is a young female fattening up for her first trip to Mexico.
Sadly, many hummingbirds don't survive their first year. For some, their song is long, ringing with their distant travels south of the border. But for others, their song is cut short and silenced far too soon.
The great thing about birds is that they all vocalize, pretty much. And around here we have many species that vocalize, and it's really important because they are establishing territories and they're talking about what food sources are and where to come get things and letting each other know where they are. So the importance of learning the calls is that most of the time you can't see a bird. And especially in spring, when you have all the males advertising themselves, a lot of times males will be very conspicuous because they want to get out there, they're advertising. They're saying, hey, I'm over here, I'm good looking, I've got everything going for me, I've got a really good song, I'm belting away. And so they sit out.
Sounds like me.
There you go, exactly. Yeah, I'm describing you to a T.
That's right.
And so they're out on their perch, like you would be, and standing out there going, yeah!
That's right.
So they're doing their thing, and what they're doing is they're telling all the females, hey, I'm over here, but they're also telling the males, don't come near me because, I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
So what happens is you'll have these males sitting out, and they're advertising. So that's a good time of year because they are singing most vigorously at that time of year, in the spring, because they're advertising for territory, and they want to breed.
Why is a day like this and a festival like this so important?
Well, it's important because it lets people know about hummingbirds. Because the important thing at this time of year is the flowers. Because they need the flowers as a food source. They have to have this. Otherwise, they cannot get to their wintering grounds. The importance of making people aware that, hey, hummingbirds, they look good, they're kind of cool, but having them as part of the natural chain, the food chain, and the entire makeup of what is an ecosystem is what is incredibly important.
So as we go out on the walk here in a few minutes,
yeah.
what is a good introductory call that I can maybe use
Well,
when
a
we're
lot of
out
what
on
you'll
the
hear
trail?
this time of year especially because the birds have finished breeding.
Okay.
So what they're doing now is they're just doing contact calls. So you'll hear chip notes, like chip, 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 chip. You'll hear a lot of that from things like cardinals.
Okay.
As they're moving around. But you'll also hear chickadees. Its song is chickadee-dee-dee-dee. Chickadee-dee-dee-dee.
Chickadee-dee-dee-dee.
Exactly. So it
right.
sounds like the name. So that's
Okay.
why they're called that.
You got me thinking about birds, and I'm ready to go hear some birds now.
There
so
you
what do you
go.
say?
Let's
do it.
go. Let's
All
go
right,
hit some
all right.
birds.
Cool, man.
So if you do that, sometimes the wrens will come in to investigate because they think it might be another wren or it's an alarm call, and so they'll do that. We'll give it a try, see if we can get a wren in here. Potato chip, potato chip, potato chip. Now you can hear about 5 different birds. You can hear Carolina wren, American crow, chickadee-dee-dee-dee, chickadee-dee-dee-dee-dee.
While introducing suitable habitat is a great way to encourage regular visits from these feathered friends, Justine Cucchiera at Seven Islands State Birding Park tells me that when you're reintroducing habitat on a large scale, it can sometimes be a bit of a slow burn.
Be going out and conducting a prescribed burn. So basically our objective is to set back what's called succession. And succession refers to how plants progress in a community. To keep habitat in early succession, which is your grassland, you need to introduce disturbance. And disturbance can be fire, it can be mechanical disturbance, like taking a tractor through there, it could be chemical. It's anything that sets back the progression of that plant community.
Is this something that would happen naturally? Are you speeding up a natural process, or?
In the past, a lot of the disturbance was caused by Native Americans, and they used to use fire as a way of managing their hunting grounds and keeping it in early succession to be good habitat for animals. And also large herds of species like bison. And the action of their hooves on the ground would create that mechanical disturbance and keep acreage of our country in grassland. And so this used to actually be more of a default than kind of a specialty.
When I think about fire, I think about destruction. I think about it doing negative things.
Mm-hmm.
So in this instance, the fire is doing something very positive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think fire is good. Fire is natural, and fire is an incredibly cost-effective, natural way of controlling plant communities.
I am very excited. Last time I played with fire, it didn't go so well. This prescribed burn is proof that sometimes progress can look a lot like destruction. So controlled burn, what we're doing today.
Absolutely. Well, they've got a 30-plus acre site here, and this area, my understanding is it hasn't been burned in years. And so with the way parks are going now, we're trying to reestablish a lot of the native environment that was already there, bring back the wildlife through native grasses, native trees. So the idea is to take this from being what looks like a farm field and convert it over to more of a usable natural field. Better for the young mammals, better for the birds, especially the ground nesting birds. It's going to increase your rabbit habitat, going to increase your cover for your small animals, including deer and any other small mammals they have in this area. So
thriving.
Yes,
thriving.
exactly. It's going to increase
population
population of everything.
All right.
That's the plan.
Tell me what we got here. This
so
looks pretty gnarly.
This is just a drip torch.
Okay.
This is one of the ways we can start the fire out here. We have a couple of different things. With the drip torch is the easiest. It's simply a mixture of regular gasoline and diesel. We'll light a little spot here on the ground, light the end of the torch, and then we just walk along and the fire will literally drip out of the torch.
All right.
Right on the ground, and hopefully we'll get some fire going.
If you need any help, I'll be right over here away from you. It's like Back to the Future. Look at this. I feel like the DeLorean just came through here. So you called this a backfire. What is going on as that fire is going across the grass?
It's getting really hot. It's destroying a lot of the seed that's on the ground now, and some of that seed is going to be from plants that we don't necessarily want in this field.
Right.
Specifically, we've got some invasive species. The one we're dealing with in this field is called Cerisa lespedeza. It's an East Asian invasive, and it kind of destroys the structure of our habitat in our grassland, so we want to get rid of it.
Okay.
But what it's also doing to try to help control the woody vegetation out here is burning the bark and making it so the trees and the shrubs can't store carbohydrates in the fall. So this time of year, they're getting ready to start storing carbohydrates and sugars for the fall to keep them through the winter.
Okay.
And we're depriving them of that ability.
We're putting them on the Atkins diet right now.
Right now.
Stat.
Yeah, we're gonna just starve them out.
Awesome. Let's not get burned.
Yeah.
Well, I can walk away from this knowing that the steps we took today were toward a better habitat and home for the wildlife here at Seven Islands.
That's a big bird.
I now have a new understanding and appreciation for birds and the songs they sing. So the next time the sun wakes me up too early to the sound of birds rocking and rolling like a bad garage band practicing at the house next door, I'll know that it's way more than just a song they're trying to sing. Working on this show, I'm continuously reminded of the simple fact that we are all connected. Birds and humans, concrete and grasslands alike. We're all singing in the same choir, and we each have a part to sing. Actually, I like to think that I'm a bit of a songbird myself. And with the lesson of this last adventure in mind, there's a chorus to an old hymn that I keep singing over and over that asks, will the circle be unbroken? By and by, by and by, is a better home awaiting in the sky, in the sky.